Hi. Welcome to another video. This was probably going to be my um, final video, uh, maybe in this format. A lot has went on the past couple of days, and that I want to talk about. But first, I want to talk about this. Okay, so if you go through my videos, I always have this site in the background. It's called psychologicalharassment.com. This site exposes the criminal coercive persuasion program that has been going on for decades. Okay, just like the other site that I referenced. If you go further back, watching my videos, the site called factnet.org, which is again talks about coercive persuasion program, talks about what they do, the deceptiveness, how they basically destroy a person's ability to make rational decisions, right, with the program that they're running. So of course, as with anything, that it's about truth and telling exactly what's going on, what's happening, and because the architect of these programs are trying to hide it, these sites, along with testimonies by us TIs that talks about what's happening, they are heavily trying to silence us. And so it's the case of explaining in many of my videos. You'll see people, doing threatening stares at my children, closing their mouth, doing this to me, okay, using the police to threaten and harass me. And so I went to bring up the site today, and lo and behold, it says the account has been suspended. Right? So, I mean, if this is not proof enough, and again, I believe because more and more people are starting to believe TIs in what it is that we're saying, putting the information out there, that this is what's happening. They are actively trying to shut down any information about these programs, okay, that they're running criminally, okay. And so, let me I'll get back to this a little bit later. But anyway, the past couple of days, again, they started with their remote neural monitoring, the psychological harassment, the microwaving of my children, myself, and their mother, Pam. So over the past couple of days, I've been noticing that, again, she's been doing the usual thing that they do when they feel somehow they have the upper hand or what have you over me, and they will bring her in and use her to target me, okay? So I've been noticing, like, lately she's been nitpicking on little insignificant things, right? Because again, they want to build up to an event, all right, a situation that they're going to create, to which me and her is going to get into an argument, and then it's going to blow out of proportion, which is what happened. I'm going to explain it to you. So last week, this was Wednesday. There were leftovers, and they had some lasagna. It wasn't a lot left, and I had that for lunch. So when she came home, she was like, "I'm gonna cook," and so she cooked. Okay, my daughter didn't want any of that, so she asked me, "Is there any leftovers, lasagna left?" So I said, "No, I had that for lunch." So all of a sudden, she looks at me, and then she started rolling her eyes, like, in a sort of way, like, "Oh, I can't believe you had the leftovers, and you should have left it there." And I'm saying that, like I can't have lunch, right? So, then she starts having this attitude. So I said, okay, whatever, And also recently, for the past 2 weeks, again, I'm regulated back to the couch. So anyway, like I said, once that stuff happening, I know what's coming. Okay, we've been through this plenty of times, and this is the absolutely last time that I'm going to go through this with this particular person. So that was Wednesday. Okay, Thursday, the kids, Ethan the kids had school. Yeah, both of them had school. So took them to school. came home, clean up, steam clean the rug, clean up the house, and so she came home, and she's like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm gonna go to bed. So she went into her room, she stayed there, she went to sleep. Now, this Saturday, they were throwing a baby shower for her cousin, who is expectant. So Friday, she came home. Alyssa didn't have school, so actually she did have school, but I took her to school. But there was no other kids there. She had a half a day, so we came back and she left with Pam to go to work with Pam. So I had a kind of relaxing day, except for the noise campaign that takes place outside. And she came home with Alyssa, and I had to go pick up Ethan because Ethan they had a what is called a glow party at his school. So it's from 3 to 6, and so I went to pick him up, and we're coming back, and he's like, "Daddy, I'm hungry. They didn't feed us anything. I want to go to McDonald's." So I was like, "Okay." So I knew something was up because the way he said it, and I've been through this enough to know when they influence my children's mind to get me to go somewhere, because they have a lot harder time now doing it with me because I question everything that I think. If there's no reason for me to go somewhere and I have the urge to go there, I'm not going. This is like in the beginning when I didn't know what was happening, didn't know what was going on. So went to McDonald's, and of course there was a police car parked up in front of McDonald's, and of course you had the civilian perps, and as soon as they saw me, as I turned the corner, they started looking at the police car, and looking back at me, looking at the police car, and looking back at me. Went into McDonald's, because there was a police officer in there, and the lines were very long, so I said to Ethan, I said, you know what, let's go to the corner store, and I'll get you a hero, a sandwich. Right? So as I left McDonald's, they looked very disappointed. And I'm saying to myself, why do they look so disappointed? And so went to the corner store, asked the guy to make me a sandwich. I told him exactly what I wanted. And, this lady came in before me, asked for her sandwich. He made her a sandwich and gave it to her. So I said, hey, what happened to my sandwich? He's like, I'm still making it. It's on the grill. I said, what do you mean what's on the grill? I didn't ask for a hot sandwich. I asked for honey turkey with American cheese, lettuce and tomato, a cold sandwich. Why is it on the grill? He's like, well, you said you wanted eggs and stuff. I'm like, seriously, come on. So I went to the guy at the counter. I said, listen, you see me come in here and buy sandwiches for my kids. When do I ever ask for egg and whatever the hell he's making? And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's a mistake. So all of a sudden now, the guy making the sandwich, he started doing this to me, right? So I'm like, okay, this is, again, this is the target, and getting the whole community involved in this PSYOPs psychological program, right? So anyway, got my sandwich, went upstairs, and so all of a sudden Pam came to me and she was like, hey, is there any more leftovers left from last night? I said, well, there's salmon there, but there's no rice, because there was a little bit of rice, and I ended up having it with some of the salmon for lunch. So she gets upset, okay? She gets upset because I had the little bit of rice that was there, so she gets upset. So I started noticing that she's nitpicking on little stuff to get upset about, to get into an argument. And this is all leading up to a big event. Again, like I said, which they planned, right? So she had to go to the place that they're holding the shower at for 8 o'clock. So she left the house at 7 to go do some errands. She came back at 7:40, and she's like, I'm ready to go, let's go. So I said, okay, all right. I got a couple of stuff to take to the house. So she gets mad. She's like, I'm ready to go right now. I said, first of all, you're not going to get there by 8 o'clock, okay? So she's going back and forth, well, you're making me late and this and that. And then I said to her, listen, you're not going to start this right now, okay? This is not happening, all right? I'm tired of the BS, what you've been up to, what you've been doing. I'm not having it. So then all of a sudden, she switched it up. Oh, well, I have somebody that's there waiting for me. I said, okay, well, the person is there, okay? They can start do the decoration until you get there. right? So I'm like, okay, after 3 minutes of picking up stuff, doing what I got to do, I said, okay, come on. Where was she? Nowhere to be found. I'm calling her. Oh, I'm in the bathroom, what have you, doing what, whatever. So I'm like, well, I thought you were ready, right? You were rushing me, all of a sudden, you got to go in the bathroom, right? So again, noticing these things, I know that they were using her, and again, because they want to build some type of, argument that's going to happen. Okay? So I already know. So anyway, drove to the place, and then she took me and the kids to my house. And I noticed that she didn't call me. Saturday all day, she didn't call me to say, hey, Nigel, can you bring the kids at a certain time? Anything like that. Didn't hear a word from her. So I called her around 6 o'clock, and I said, hey, I didn't hear from you, and, what's the deal? And she's like, well, I'm late and whatever. I said, listen, you're always late, so I already know that, okay? Just, so she was, all of a sudden she's like telling me the story about how her friends bailed on her and blah, 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 and that she needs help. So obviously she wants me to help her now, right? So all this time, she didn't want to help. She didn't want my help, but because her friends now bailed on her, now she wants my help. But she is not asking me. See, the mentality of the people that participate in this is that they'll do shit to you, and when they need your help, they're not going to ask you for it, okay? But what they'll do, they'll put it in such a way to where you will be like, okay, well, I'll help you. But I already know the tactics. And you know what? I said to her, listen, we'll be there in an hour. We'll see you there. So an hour passed, and, got the kids dressed, and we're leaving. And as I turn down and walk up the block, I see a police car with the lights flashing.
Me and the kids just left the house and going.
I'm going to mute this because I want to talk about this. So, I'm like, okay, so because they know I'm leaving in an hour, and I'm pretty good with my time in terms of, such as if I got to go somewhere at a certain times, I'm on time, right? I'm hardly ever late. And so the time that I decide to leave is when, of course, they're going to stage the street theater of, pulling somebody over right at the corner. And this is the corner that I have to walk to turn, to make the right, to go to the place that in which the baby shower was being held. So, of course, they're going to do this, right? So, let me just speed this up a little bit. Okay, so let's get to this. So, this Jewish guy walks past me, and remember in my videos I talk about how people walk past me and they'll stare up at the windows at buildings or houses. So he walks past me, looks at the police car, and he starts looking up at the building window, right? You can see him right there looking. Okay?
Come on, guys. Hold up, you just stop, don't run.
Yeah. So at this point, we're getting ready to cross the street to the light change, and I see another police SUV speeding, right? So that's when you hear me tell Ethan to hold up and stop, okay? Because, had we walked, he probably would have run us over. But what it is that the synchronization was off. So he was speeding up to cut in front of me, okay? Because this is what they do. They love to, whether it be civilians walking, cutting in front of you, there's something that when they do that, it's supposed to happen. Maybe, they figure that you must be in some type of psychological state in which when they do that, right, it's supposed to do something to you. Whatever they put into your subconscious, whether it be, to try to bump into you or to try to aggravate and agitate you, this is what they'll do. So anyway, see, the light is green going in the direction that I'm going to, and you'll see the police car. Okay? Now, he can stop right there. There is no emergency going on. The light is red. He sees that we're getting ready to cross the street, but he's not going to stop. Okay? Again, because the synchronization. Alright? So, now, I want you to watch this guy. This is all orchestrated, okay? Being surveilled, illegally surveilled, okay, inside my home, illegally trapped, okay? Now, watch this guy. And these people here, some of them are perps. So as you see, as he walks by now, he starts pulling on his ear, okay? When I talk about it, they'll stick their finger in the ear or they start tugging on the ear, right? Now, I want you to watch his hand. He's going to turn when he swings his hand, he's going to turn his palm towards me. His hand right now is naturally on the side. And this is going to be very quick, okay? Alright, there you go. Okay, so all of a sudden now, his hands went from swinging to the side, even though you can still see his palm, but in this situation, he's going to turn his hand to his palm facing towards me, and then for the rest of the time he's walking, his hands is going to go back to the side. So it isn't like it was a naturally occurring thing as he walked. Okay, this was particularly done. And, you know, after that, now, went to the shower, and arrive at the shower, okay, walk in with the kids. The kids were hungry, so they had a table with some appetizers on it. So, you know, I took 2 of the appetizers and I gave them to my kids. And Pam walks over to me and she's like, "You can't eat that. You can't be eating that. That's for when people, you know, when people eating dinner, then they can have it, right?" So at that point, I'm noticing what she's doing. Basically, try to humiliate me, to degrade me, and to undermine me as a human being, as a person. Okay, and so I had on the same table there were these little plates, right, in which you would put the appetizers on. So she was like, "Put it back," and you know, so I ended up putting the appetizers back. And at that point, I was like, "Listen, I'm tired of your bullshit. That's it. I'm going home. I'm leaving." You know what I'm saying? She was being very passive aggressive. So doing that and then trying to ask me, "Well, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving?" I'm like, "You know why I'm leaving, okay?" So anyway, I left, and you could tell this is orchestrated, right?
You can slow down.
So that's Ethan. And let me go to the rest of the video. So anyway, you can tell that this was orchestrated and they're using her to do that, right? Because that was the only appetizers that was out. There was no other appetizers there. Okay? And you know, if you're having a baby shower, you would have more than one appetizer. But that was a particular appetizer, and that was around after 7 in the afternoon, okay? So, you know, you would think that people would get up and eat the appetizers, but everybody was sitting down. Everybody was sitting down, okay? Then, after I was about to leave, and I'm leaving, she calls me back, and she's like, you know, why does it have to be about you and this and that? Again, you know, understanding how manipulative people think and the manipulative things that they do, right? Again, trying to turn it on me, the victim of their psychological coercive persuasion program, to make themselves look as they're the victim. Okay? That's what they do. Okay?
If they're pulling somebody over,
so,
you know. Because again, it's
anyway, so I left, and she calls me on my phone, and then she says to me, everybody is now eating the appetizers, right? Again, like, why would she call me to tell me that after just telling me that I can't eat the appetizers? So again, they know exactly what was going to happen. You know, and trust me, I am not going to stay there, because if I stay there, that's showing them that they can talk to me or get her to talk to me and treat me in any matter, shape, or form that's negative towards me, and I'm going to just sit there and shut up and smile and act as if everything is okay. That's not going to happen. You know, so like I said, so she calls me and tells me, oh, now everybody's eating the appetizers. Okay, so I guess now I can go back and have the appetizers, right? I'm like, fuck that shit. Hell no. You're not going to do that and think you can, subjugate me to the type of embarrassment to try to dehumanize me in any way, shape, or form. That's not going to happen. So as I'm walking back, let me get to the other video. Okay, so now I had left and I'm walking back, right? Okay, so I left the baby shop because lately they've been using Pam to target me, and she's acting ridiculous. So let me show you how they call on the stuff, because I walk home and remember I talk about the number 32 in the license, right? So being brainwashed, manipulated, using dark NLP, coercive persuasion program, using dark NLP, and how they use what is called triggers and anchors, or the power of association, right? So again, I talk about them using the number 32. Now, like I said, immediately as I left, now got on my block, and of course they have this car parked up there. And again, look at the number in the license plate. All right, let's go back. Okay. See that? So again, and they've been doing that a lot lately. I did a previous video. I actually have a video that I didn't post up where there were at least 4 cars parked on Pam's block with that number in the license plate, and these are cars that has never parked there before. I've shown you how when a person that lives on the block buys a car and get the temporary license plate, they will have that number in that temporary license plate, and sometimes even in the permanent license plate. Okay, so this is what they do, right? So anyhow, I had went back to the party, and as I went back to the party, she came over to me and she's like, "You want to hug it out?" Like in a very sarcastic way, And at that point, I was like, "Listen, just leave me alone, okay?" And so then I guess because there was a lot of women there, of course, being targeted by the women now because they, I guess they wanted to see my reaction to when she came and said to me, "Oh, you want to hug it out," right? So now, because I didn't hug her, and I was keeping my distance from her, now they went into their little plan, or their little street theater, right? Their little script. So this one girl, she kept walking past me, kept looking at me. I guess, I don't know, maybe she was looking at me to see if I was looking at her, but she kept looking at me. Then about half an hour, I'm not kidding, the majority of the women that was there, female, young girls, what have you, they all went outside, right, for a good probably 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm like, what's going on? Because they all went outside at the same time, okay, and then like 5 to 10 minutes later, they all came back in at the same time and started again with the targeting, okay, and I was like, okay, well, there it goes. So anyhow, left the party, left the shower, went home, put the kids to bed. Sunday, now my son Ethan, he still has 2 days of school today, and he has half a day tomorrow. So all day Sunday, I didn't hear from Pam. I text her, asking her, what are we going to do about Ethan, because he has school, and she just ignored my text, didn't text me back. Okay, called her around 6 o'clock, and I said, hey, it's getting late. Are you going to come and get Ethan, because he has school in the morning? So now she's like, so I said to her, I said, I text you earlier. So then she's like, oh, I was on my iPad. Now, she has an iPhone and an iPad. Her iPad is linked to her iPhone. So whenever she get a text on her phone or call on her phone, it shows on her iPad. So she knew that I text her. Okay? But they want to play this game. So anyway, so 6 o'clock, I called her, and she's like, okay, I'm going to come pick him up. And then she's like, well, can you drop us home and you can take the car? I said, no, I don't want the car. You can keep the car. It's okay. And so 2 hours later, I called her back again. I said, "Hey, I haven't heard from you. You know, when are you coming?" She's like, "I'm leaving soon." So now, half an hour later, I'm calling her again. I said, "Hey, where are you? Are you on your way?" And this was like minutes to 9, okay? And she's like, "Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm almost to you." Okay? Anyway, so she got there, and I had to go to the bank, so I asked her to drop me to the bank. So all of a sudden now, I said to her, I said, "Listen, with this stuff that's going on, with you're into and you're participating in, I said, listen, I'm tired of it, okay? So, you're either going to, start doing this thing another way or what have you." So then she tries to make excuses. And that's the thing with people who participate in this coercive persuasion program. They will never acknowledge what they're doing, because again, what they're doing is criminal, and if they acknowledge it, it's basically if anything happens in a court of law, they can be prosecuted. So they are always going to deny it. It's always going to be the person who's in this program, are going to be considered to be crazy, right? Because that's what they'll continue to say. Now, she doesn't call me crazy, but when it gets to a point like this where I'm just like, I'm done, then all of a sudden she starts calling me crazy. Okay? So you see how that worked? So anyhow, so I said to her, I don't want to be a part of it. It's okay. I was like, I don't want to talk about it and such. So she gets upset because I didn't want to talk about it, and I'm shutting her down. Then, with my son in the background, she looked towards me and she's like, "You're a nigger." And I said, "What you call me?" She's like, "Yes, I said it. You're a nigger." And I'm like, wow, in front of my son. And then she's like, "F you, fuck you." And I was like, you know what? Well, fuck you back. And that's it. And I got out of the car and she drove off. Okay? So you see, this is the event that they want to lead up to. That's why she was doing all of this. Okay? That's why they had her doing all of this. Right? Because she's not woman enough to say, "Hey, Nigel, this is not working out, so let's," but she wants to have her cake and eat it too. She wants me to be here to take care of the kids, to clean up her apartment, clean up after her, okay? Drive her to work, this and that and such. But any other aspect of being in a relationship is out of question. Intimacy, that sort of thing, no. Now, you as a person, if you're a man, okay, would you subject yourself to that? And I've subjected myself to this long enough. And I was doing it for my children because I love them, and I know what type of person she is, and I know that my kids is going to develop very bad habits if I'm not around. But at this point, I have to just cut my loss and say, you know what, we're going to have to do this another way. Now, my older son, I see him every 2 weeks, and I go pick him up. He's old enough now where he can take the train. He's 17. He can take the train by himself, back and forth. And so I'm going to have to do this with Pam, seriously. And so, because like I said, I am not going to stand for this. I'm not going to stand for anybody trying to dehumanize me, trying to belittle me, basically trying to make me feel inadequate in any type of way. Okay? Because they can't control me. Okay? And using the police, again, because, like I said, this is non-consensual human experimentation, microchipping for the purpose of remote neural monitoring. Okay, this morning as soon as I woke up, police sirens. Immediately as I opened up my eye, police sirens. Now Saturday, after all of that had happened, when I got home, I got the headaches again. And so, again, I'm not surprised that they shut down the site, because I figured they probably would, and that's why I put the stuff on video so people can see. Okay, and whenever I do anything on Facebook or what have you, I always post a link to the site. Well, they have now disabled the site. They have suspended the site. The site has been up for years. Okay. Just like fatnet.org that talks about coercive persuasion program, that talks about how they manipulate people's mind, okay? The tactics that they use, and they just got rid of those sites. Okay, just like they got rid of information about directed energy weapons on the internet. Within the past couple of years, they've taken down those sites. Okay, this is how they're trying to go dark. Okay, because more and more people are waking up, because we as TIs are telling exactly what this government is doing. Okay, so now they're trying to shut everybody down. My shows on TalkShoe have all been deleted. Okay, this is what they're doing. Okay, I mean, people really have to listen to us TIs, really, because when they start turning the technology on you, or you find we're in a situation where, you know, they want to physically make you a slave, they'll be able to do it, because they have the ability to control your thought, your thinking, your mindset using this technology. Silent sound spread spectrum, microwave auditory effect weapon, okay, vibrational acoustic sound, bone conduction technology, all for transmitting sound or information in the human mind, bypassing the ears, okay, straight to the brain, okay, deep psychological conditioning, coercive persuasion program, changing your behavior negatively, and you have no idea, no clue. You're just acting negative. You're being negative. They've done this to black people on the whole, but now they have basically created a program with psychological tactics as well as technological advancement in weapons for mind control. Okay, we as TIs were the guinea pig. Illegally microchip, remote neural monitoring. Okay, use the microwave operating on the same frequency of the brainwave to control mass amount of people. Okay, now they're deleting all these websites. They're shutting them down. That has been exposed in what it is that they're doing. You see, and once the public starts becoming aware of the information, they shut it down. This is what they're doing. Okay, so hopefully the people that have this site can get it back up and running, but we'll see. I'm not hopeful, but we'll see.